What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another Black Ops 7 gun guide. In today's episode, we're going to be diving deep into the stats of the X9 Maverick, and toward the end of the video, I'm going to be sharing some excellent attachment combinations to use with this gun. And starting it off, as always, let's have a look at our rate of fire, and this is a 3-round burst assault rifle with a rate of fire of roughly 667 rounds per minute within the burst, and a burst delay of roughly 150 milliseconds. Keeping in mind, those are hand-tested values, but they at least get you in the ballpark and give you accurate time to kill values. And with this gun, it's one of the few in the game that has separate body multipliers. We have a damage multiplier zone to the upper torso, neck, and upper arms, where you'll be dealing just slightly more damage than the lower torso, lower arms, and legs. And what this means is in the maximum damage range, we can get a 3-shot kill to the body, but at least one of those shots has to hit the upper torso, upper arms, or neck. Or of course, a headshot would also suffice there. And if you manage to do that with a 3-shot kill, we're killing in just 180 milliseconds, which is an insanely fast time to kill potential that no full auto gun in this game can really compete with, at least not without headshots. So very impressive there if you can get a 1 burst. However, it's not super forgiving. If you require that 4th shot to kill, now your time to kill spikes up to 420 milliseconds, which is quite slow for this game. As for headshots, right up close, we can't get a 2-shot kill, even if both hit the head. So they're not really going to be helping you any more than an upper torso shot would be. However, for our second damage range, it is worth noting, if we just land one of those bullets to the head and then the others hit that upper torso zone, at that point we can maintain a 1 burst kill for a really nice time to kill potential, so headshots are very useful in that second damage range. And speaking of ranges, let's have a look at our range comparison here, and as we can see, very importantly, our maximum damage range extends out to around 17 meters, so that is our 1 burst kill potential to the body. And then the next important range drop-off point to really be aware of is that second damage range where we can still get a 1 burst as long as one of those shots hits the head, and that extends out to about 29 meters. For an assault rifle, these aren't incredibly impressive range values. However, of course, the potential within those ranges is going to be much higher than the other assault rifles when it comes to your time to kill potential. As for barrels, we have some interesting barrel attachments on this gun compared to others. We do, of course, have a standard long barrel, which gives us a 35% boost to our damage range, and I love using this attachment since you really want to squeeze as much of that range out as possible to maximize your 1 burst kill potential. However, we also have the ability to use a heavy long barrel, which just gives us a 15% boost to our damage range, but it's also going to be helping us more with our vertical recoil control. And you might notice there's no velocity or hybrid barrel on this. In fact, none of the barrels will be able to improve our velocity value. Which, by the way, we do have a really solid standard velocity value at 760 meters per second. As for rapid fire, as far as I can tell based on hand testing, our burst delay is unchanged at 150 milliseconds, but the rate of fire within the burst is improved up to roughly 723 rounds per minute, which does improve our time to kill potential a little bit. In my eyes, it's generally overkill, but it's there, it is something you can use, and this does come at the cost of range and velocity. You will be losing 10% to both of those values. Then when it comes to hardcore game modes, this gun will be a 1-shot kill anywhere in the body at any range, as long as you're not shooting through something. So definitely not a bad choice in hardcore. Then when it comes to hipfire, we actually have bang on average hipfire for an assault rifle. Although with it being a burst gun, hipfire is generally not recommended. You want to try to get aim down sight so you have that potential to get a 1 burst kill, since the likelihood of a 1 burst kill in hipfire is very low. Now after that, let's have a look at recoil, and as you can see here, there's not a whole lot of recoil to speak of. Well, yes, there is a little bit of recoil within each burst. It's very minimal, and it does tend to recenter quite nicely between those bursts, even when firing at the maximum fire rate. So it is an extremely accurate gun in this game. Although in saying that, there's still room for improvement if you're trying to pick somebody off a head glitch at really long range and you want to try to hit all of those shots to the head, for instance. Sure, you can get even better than this. And now let's have a look at our handling stats. And across the board, we're at least within the realm of average for an assault rifle, give or take a few milliseconds. So it's not really fast by any means when it comes to handling, but it's also not slow. It's just somewhere in the middle for an assault rifle. As for our reload add time, this is quite slow at 2.77 seconds. This is the slowest in the assault rifle category by a very noticeable margin, in fact. And we do have a standard magazine capacity at 30 rounds, and you might notice there's no magazine option on this gun when selecting your attachments. That's because your magazine is actually tied to your barrel attachment. And this means our capacity and our reload times are also tied to barrels rather than a magazine. However, you do get other effects like we saw earlier, like range improvements or recoil improvements, for instance, so it's not just acting as a magazine. And as it relates to capacity or reload time, the quick load barrel will give us the same capacity at 30 rounds, but a faster reload at 1.98 seconds. Surprisingly, our sprint to fire barrel, while it slightly reduces our capacity to 27 rounds, you would think this would give us the fastest reload time, but it doesn't. The reload time on this is 2.31 seconds, which is still faster than the base, but not quite as fast as I expected it to be. And then we have the long barrel or heavy barrel attachments that will improve our capacity, but they will be harming our reload add times. And for the base gun, this just leaves us with our mobility stats. And across the board in this area, we are going to be a little bit better than average for the assault rifle category. And now that we have all of the base stats covered, let's have a deeper look at the prestige attachment, which is that quick load barrel, the Pulse Load Plus barrel. With this, we see a bunch of handling improvements at the cost of damage range. And taking a deeper look at that, we do see a 15% reduction to our damage range values while using this barrel. However, we see a nice boost to our base walking speed as well as our aim walking speed. Our aim down sight time and sprint out times are also improved by very noticeable margins. And as we saw earlier, while our capacity is the same with this at 30 rounds, our new reload time is 1.98 seconds, which is going to be the fastest reload time you'll get with this gun using attachments. Now, one final thing they mentioned here is this does help with your jumping and landing stability with the gun. And this is a little bit difficult to test absolutely flawlessly to get the timings just right between two different tests. However, let's just have a look at our jumping stability and landing stability here. When looking at it side by side, on the left, we don't have this barrel. On the right, we do have the barrel. As far as I can tell, even in slow motion, it's looking very similar as far as the stability of our optic and our point of aim here. I'm sure there is something going on here that is helping with jumping and aiming stability, but I'm not convinced it would be a super noticeable value. And also, I'm not convinced that you should be jumping in many gunfights while using a burst gun anyway, with or without this barrel. You're generally going to want to just keep your feet planted so you can maintain the best possible accuracy. And now that we have all of that covered, it's finally time to get into some excellent attachment combinations with the X9 Maverick. And the first one I wanted to share is my balanced accuracy build. With this, we've got the ELO sight, so I have a nice precise sight picture. We've got the Nova Burst brake, primarily for first shot recoil, but also kick reset speed. Both of those stats are very good for burst guns, and I'd highly recommend it if you're really trying to make this as accurate as possible. And I'm actually combining that with the granulated rear grip. That one also helps with first shot recoil control. And this makes this already accurate gun just pinpoint accurate because that gap between the first and second shot is essentially non-existent now. And this means even if you're really stretching out your range, or you're just trying to be as precise as possible, this thing is insanely accurate. On top of that, we have the long barrel to give us a 35% boost to our damage range. That's really nice to be able to squeeze out as much of a one burst kill potential as possible. And finally, we've got the H-Lock foregrip, which is the one that helps with idle sway and aim walking steadiness with a little bit of horizontal recoil control mixed in there. And this one's really nice as well for a precise gun like this, so you just don't have to worry about that idle sway all that much. Now, with all of this combined, all of our handling and mobility stats are just standard. None of them have changed, and they're fine if you're just not playing too hyper aggressively at least, which I'm generally not going to do with this gun, and I really like using this particular build with the X9 Maverick. However, to elevate this one to the next level, this brings me into my gunfighter build. With this one, we actually have all of the same attachments as the previous build, but then on top of that, I've added the stock that helps with aim walking speed and flinch resistance. While this gun doesn't really have a lot of flinch by default, flinch does tend to be a little more noticeable on burst guns relative to full autos just because of the timings of things. So it's nice to bring that down even further since we have that attachment available. On top of that, we have the 3mW motion strike laser as well as the overpressured ammo. And with this, we're getting a velocity boost out of that as well as an additional range boost with that laser for a net increase to our range at 55%. This gives us a one burst kill range to the body at 26 meters now. That's a really nice improvement there. And this just takes that previous build to the next level if you don't mind using gunfighter on your class. And this just leaves us with one final build I wanted to share for you guys, and this is my aggressive stealth build. So this is great if you're not quite as concerned about being like absolutely pinpoint accurate. I mean, you're still gonna be very accurate with this one. And on it, we're using the standard suppressor so we can stay off the radar. We once again have the long barrel on here. It's just an excellent option. Combined with rapid fire, so we just get those bursts out a little bit faster, so it's a bit more forgiving if we don't get that one burst kill. On top of that, we're using the rear grip that helps with aim down sight, slide to fire, and dive to fire time. That just allows us to be a little bit more aggressive and mobile with this. And then finally, we're topping it off with the stock that improves our aim walking speed up to 3.8 meters per second, so we can strafe in gunfights while aiming down sight quite effectively. And this is just a nice alternative if you're looking to be a bit more aggressive with this gun and not wanting to play it so much like hanging back and trying to just lock down lanes with pinpoint accuracy. And there we have it. That's gonna wrap it up for today's gun guide on the X9 Maverick. And when it comes to my thoughts on this gun, it's an excellent burst gun in this game. You can absolutely dominate with this if your shot is on point and you're able to consistently get those one burst kills. However, at the end of the day, with it being a burst gun, it is a bit of a high risk, high reward situation. Although I'd more so call it a moderate risk, high reward situation. If you don't get those one burst kills, then yeah, a similarly skilled player with a full auto gun, they're just gonna kill you more often than not. So you've got to be on point, but if you are, you'll be practically untouchable. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this gun in those comments down below. And if you guys have missed any of the previous gun guides, I will have a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.